The folding chair scraped across the ballroom floor and stopped beside the trash cans. Not near the family table. Not even near the back row. Beside the trash cans. My father pointed at it and said loud enough for half the Norfolk ballroom to hear, "Sit there, Nora. Trash belongs with trash." For 1 second, the room forgot how to breathe. Then someone laughed. Not loudly, just enough. The kind of laugh people give when a powerful man has decided who is safe to humiliate. 20 feet away, my younger brother Andrew stood in his navy dress uniform, shoes polished, ribbons shining, smiling like a man who had finally become everything our father wanted. This was his promotion ceremony, his moment, his day. And my father had made sure I understood I was only allowed to attend as an embarrassment. I looked at the chair, then at the trash can, then at my father, the man who had spent my whole life loving one child loudly and starving the other quietly. "Don't ruin your brother's day," he said. I almost walked out. Then the double doors behind the stage opened. Everyone turned, expecting the Admiral to walk straight to the podium. But Admiral Caroline Voss did not go to the podium. She crossed the ballroom, stopped directly in front of me, and saluted. "Commander Whitaker," she said, her voice cutting through the silence. I did not expect to find one of the finest officers in the Atlantic Fleet seated beside a garbage can. The laughter died so fast it felt like the air had been cut with a blade. My father's face went pale. My brother's smile disappeared. And for the first time in 42 years, my family looked at me as if I had been a classified document left open in public. My name is Nora Whitaker. For most of my life, my family called me the disappointment. The Navy called me commander. I grew up in a house where love had a scoreboard. Andrew was born winning. His B's were praised. My A's were questioned. His failures became lessons. My victories became problems because they made him feel small. So I learned to swallow good news before it made anyone uncomfortable. Some families do not break you with shouting. They break you by teaching you that your joy is rude. At 18, I joined the Navy. My father said college had not worked out. I had a full scholarship. He knew that. He preferred the story where I failed. The Navy gave me what my family never did: standards, accountability, and rooms where performance mattered more than who was easier to love. I moved from communications into maritime operations, then emergency response across the Atlantic. Hurricanes, ship fires, rescue routes, medical evacuations, work that rarely made headlines but decided who came home. I mailed letters from deployments. My father never answered. Years later, I found them in a pantry drawer, still sealed. But he had framed every certificate Andrew ever received. That is how I learned the difference between being unknown and being ignored. Unknown is innocent. Ignored is a choice. When Andrew called to invite me to his promotion ceremony, I almost declined. "Nora," he said, "Dad wants the whole family there." "Dad wants me there?" A pause. "Well, Mom does." That was honest enough to make me come. I told myself I was going for Andrew. He was not cruel like my father. He simply looked away. Sometimes cowardice wears a polite face. The ceremony was in Norfolk, inside a ballroom filled with flags and white tablecloths. My father stood at the front table inspecting everything. When I approached, my father looked me up and down. "You wore uniform? Dress blues are appropriate. This is Andrew's ceremony. Don't try to draw attention." There were name cards for everyone, even a neighbor who had once lent Andrew a boat. "There was no card for me," my mother whispered. "Your father thought it would be less awkward if you sat elsewhere." Less awkward for whom? She did not answer. That was when my father dragged the folding chair across the floor and placed it beside the trash cans near the service entrance. Then came the words, "Trash belongs with trash." I felt them enter my body like cold water. I had heard versions of them all my life. Difficult, jealous, not like Andrew, always making things about myself. But that day, in uniform, beside a trash can, something inside me stopped begging to be translated. After years of being pressed down, pain can become a floor you stand on. I sat. Not because he won, because I wanted him to see exactly what he had chosen to do. Andrew saw it too. His eyes met mine for half a second, then slid away. That hurt more than my father's words. My father was predictable. Andrew had once been the little boy who hid behind me during thunderstorms. I protected him from monsters under the bed, but he would not protect me from one standing in the ballroom. The ceremony began late. My father used the delay to whisper, "Nora works office support. Andrew is the real officer." A woman nearby gave me a pitying smile. I looked down at my hands. These hands had signed evacuation orders during Hurricane Corinne and drawn a rescue corridor through a storm that should have killed 92 civilians. Office support. Maybe that was easier than caring enough to know the truth. Then the doors opened. Admiral Caroline Voss entered with 2 aides behind her, silver-haired and sharp-eyed. She made loud people aware of their own noise. The room stood. She looked toward the stage, then stopped. Her eyes found me. For a moment, I forgot to breathe. She crossed the room. Every conversation died one step at a time. When she stopped in front of me, I tried to stand. She raised one hand. "No, Commander, allow me." Then she saluted me. Admirals do not salute officers beside trash cans unless something is very wrong, or someone has been very wronged. Her eyes moved from the chair to the trash can to my father. I did not expect to find one of the finest officers in the Atlantic Fleet seated beside a garbage can. My father swallowed. "Admiral, there must be some confusion. Nora is my daughter." "Yes," Admiral Voss said. "That appears to be the confusion." A ripple went through the room. Andrew stepped forward. "Admiral, with respect, today is my promotion ceremony." She turned to him. "Congratulations. Promotions matter, but so does integrity." Andrew flushed. Then she faced the room. "For those who do not know Commander Nora Whitaker, allow me to correct an omission." My father's lips parted. I wanted to stop her. That surprised me. After everything, some old trained part of me still wanted to protect my family from embarrassment, even when they had never protected me. But Admiral Voss continued. "During Hurricane Corinne, Commander Whitaker coordinated the Atlantic response that saved the Meridian Star. She redirected 3 rescue assets through a collapsing weather window and stayed on radio for 41 continuous hours." The room was silent. "She is one of the steadiest officers I have known." My father stared at me. Not with pride. Not yet. With confusion. That hurt in a different way. He had no category for me except failure, and now the world had removed that word from his hands. The Admiral's voice sharpened. "I came to honor Lieutenant Commander Andrew Whitaker. I did not know I would also have to rescue Commander Whitaker from her own family's ignorance." My mother began to cry. My father said, "Nora never told us." I stood then, slowly. My knees felt weak, but my voice did not. "I wrote letters." He blinked. "What?" "I wrote letters for 20 years, from every posting, Every deployment, every storm. You never opened them. My mother covered her mouth. Andrew looked at the floor. My father shook his head. That is not true. It is, Andrew said. The words came out so quietly I almost did not hear them. My father turned. Andrew looked sick. I saw them, he said, in the pantry drawer, years ago. My father's anger had nowhere to go. It turned into fear. You knew? I asked Andrew. His eyes filled. I didn't know what to do. That sentence broke something in me cleanly. All my life, that had been Andrew's gift, not knowing what to do. And somehow I always paid for it. You could have started with opening your mouth, I said. No one moved. The Admiral stepped back, giving me room. That was real leadership, not rescuing me from my voice, but making space for it. I looked at my father. You told me trash belongs with trash. His face crumpled around the memory of his own words. I was angry. No, you were comfortable. There is a difference. He had no answer. So I gave him the truth he had spent decades avoiding. You praised Andrew for things I was punished for. You cashed my checks while calling my career a backup plan. You left my letters sealed because reading them would have made it harder to pretend I was nothing. My voice shook then. But shaking is not weakness. Sometimes it is the body releasing what the soul carried too long. I became good enough for admirals to trust me with lives. And still, you saw a problem. My father looked old suddenly. Not dignified, just old. Andrew whispered, Nora, I'm sorry. I looked at him. I believe you, but sorry does not erase silence. You benefited from it. He nodded. The ceremony continued. Andrew received his promotion. I stood, I clapped. But something had changed. Not in him, in me. For the first time, I was not clapping from below him. I was simply clapping. Afterward, my father approached me in the parking lot. Nora. I stopped but did not turn. Nora, please. That word sounded foreign in his mouth. I turned. He held a small stack of envelopes in his hands. My letters. Still sealed. Yellowed at the edges. My mother must have brought them from home. He looked down at them like evidence from a trial where he had just been convicted. I didn't know what they were. Yes, you did. His mouth trembled. I thought they were complaints. Of course he did. My pain had always been inconvenient noise to him. No, I said. They were invitations? To what? To know me. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then he said the sentence I had waited 42 years to hear. The problem was not you, it was me. I closed my eyes. I wish I could tell you forgiveness flooded through me. It did not. Real healing is awkward, uneven. Sometimes it arrives holding old envelopes in a parking lot. My father opened the first letter with trembling hands. It was from Bahrain. He read 3 lines before he started crying. I did not comfort him. I had spent my whole life comforting people who hurt me. Not this time. He needed to feel it. Andrew walked over a few minutes later. I should have said something, he said. Yes. I liked being the easy one. I know. I didn't think it was hurting you this much. That is because you never had to measure the room for danger. I did. For the first time, he did not make an excuse. He just said, I'm sorry. Not enough, but a beginning. Months passed. My father began reading the letters one by one. Sometimes he called. Sometimes he only left a voicemail. I read Spain today. Or, I read about the storm. I did not always call back. Boundaries are not revenge. They are the shape of self-respect. Andrew and I started with short emails, then coffee, then one long conversation where he admitted he had built confidence on a stage I had been pushed off. That honesty mattered because it finally stopped adding lies to the wound. A year later, at a leadership seminar in Norfolk, a young officer asked, "How do you keep going when the people closest to you do not see your worth?" I thought of the folding chair, the trash can, my father's voice, the Admiral's salute. Then I said, "People can only define your value if you hand them the authority to do it. Do your work, keep your integrity, and if someone you love insists on seeing you as small, do not shrink to fit their vision." After the seminar, I walked outside toward the water. Ships moved in the distance. For years, I believed being seen by my family would make me real. I was wrong. I had been real the whole time. In every storm, every radio call, every unopened letter, every life that made it home because I stayed at my post. Final justice was not my father crying, Andrew apologizing, or the Admiral saluting me. Final justice was the moment I stopped needing the people who ignored my life to confirm that I had lived it. My name is Commander Nora Whitaker. My father once told me trash belongs with trash. But the Navy taught me something different. Real worth does not become smaller because someone refuses to recognize it. It waits. It works. And when the door opens, it walks in wearing its own name.